Hey, so today in the shop, I'm going to show you guys how to make some custom Dzus plates. Now, I've been mounting some front ends on some Mustangs lately, and I've ran into some scenarios where I needed a custom mounting solution, so I'm going to show you the tools and kind of basically how to do it and how I do it, so that way maybe you can make your own custom Dzus plates as well.
Okay, so for making this side piece, what we're going to do first is I took some cardboard. Obviously, I templated out the spacing really just to get where my holes. Obviously, this is not cut straight. Just to get my spacing on there. And then I took a piece of this. This already comes pre-bent with a little angle kick, so I'm gonna put this that way. So that way this angles towards the car, so it kind of uses it as like a ski or a catch, and it's not sticking out the other way. Just something to kind of help ease the fender over top of that. But then template it out, basically the piece that we're going to make the Dzus plate out of, and that will essentially get welded together like that. And then I've got marked out my holes already, the centers for those for the actual fasteners themselves. So we'll set up and get a pair of these welded up. They're the same on both sides. I used the same template on both to drill the holes, so they're the same spacing. So these will work out identical. So I'll set up and weld those two over. Okay, so next thing we need to do is lay out where we're going to actually put the quarter turns. There's a couple tools that we have that you can actually do this and make it a little easier. This is a dimpling tool. Basically, if you've ever seen like a knockout or anything like this, you would just put your panel in there, put this together and tighten this up, and this will give you the dimple. That looks something like this. Gives you a nice little seat for the quarter turn fastener to sit down in, like a countersink almost. Another tool that we have, obviously a spring adjuster tool. If you're making anything with quarter turn fasteners, trying to get them, if they're a little too tight or a little too loose, you can use this to actually stretch or shrink the spring, depending on if you come from the top side or the bottom side. This screws in just like a quarter turn fastener would, locks in place, and then you just tighten your handle to tighten it and draw it in. Obviously, like I said, if you're pulling from the top, you're going to shrink the gap. If you're pulling from the bottom, you're going to stretch the gap. And the last little tool here is just a little butterfly. Well, actually, there's two more. This is a little butterfly piece. It's just basically like a drill guide. Once you find your center mark for your hole, these will actually give you the spacing for your springs. So if you have this is a number 5, this is 5/16, and then the number 6 is a 7/16 spaced quarter turn fastener. These are for the respective springs. So you mark your center of your hole, and then this gives you the spring layout, and you can put that any direction that you want to, so you can line up your slots or however you want to. And I guess the last actual tool here is it's a little transfer punch. You once you have a tab somewhere, you can actually slot this down in there, and it gives you a little point, and then you can just tap on your panel, and it gives you a little mark where the center of your hole is, and for lining up. So on this, I'm going to use too many different tools. I've got my centers marked. We'll go ahead and start with the 1/8" bit, and we'll go from there. Okay. Now what we can do, take our guide here, and I don't actually drill the whole thing. I just use this to align and then spot, so that way you're not like walking, or it's not reaming out the inside of your drill guide here. So I have a scribed line down the center. My pin's in the hole, and then I just put the scribed line through the center of these holes, and that makes me pretty well lined up. What I did there is just spot the holes, so now I know where they go. Now if you actually take a quarter turn spring, you'll see that these holes are now exactly aligned with the dowel holes, and then it's over the center of the quarter turn. So pretty sweet tool. It's really cheap. I got this from RJ Race Cars. You can get it from, there's tons of people that sell them. Good for a lot of setting up. Same thing with all these other tools as well. So we'll get the rest of these. We'll drill the center out for the actual quarter turn. It's right around, a little bigger than 3/4. It's like 13/16 is what gives us the amount of opening for the, as you can see, these are countersunk. They're like tapered in. So it's about out to here is about 13/16 for this to sit flush in there. Sit you back in the camera. Okay, and then another thing that I do when I'm doing my quarter turn fasteners for stuff like this, some of them already come stamped, but what I will actually do is take a countersink like this, and we'll actually countersink where the rivets go, so that way, because they are tapered, I use stainless steel rivets for the actual springs and whatnot, but they are the flush mount tapered. So we'll just countersink that just enough so this sits nice and flat on there. And you know, a lot of this process is really simple, but just taking the extra time to do stuff like that, like countersinking your rivets, and all that other stuff, is just going to give you a better fit up. Because then, well, like I said, once you countersink these, you won't have to worry about any kind of adding any thickness, because you know these quarter turn panel fasteners and stuff, they're pretty tight clearance, so you need to have like the exact, or pretty close to the exact depth of where you're mounting all this stuff, so you got to keep that in mind. But yeah, so just countersink those so it gives us a nice little, raised up area to add thickness to the gap. right, and deburr the back side of the hole so that way nothing hangs up on this also. Next thing we need to do is step up the hole size in the center. Like I said, it's about 13/16. I've got 3 step bits that I use for this. This one gets me pretty far. I think this goes up to 1/2 inch, but I can get pretty easy to go through up to that. I get this one all the way up to 11/16 on this one, and then this one is a lot finer of a step, so I'll just step a little bit at a time until I get up there. And everybody's favorite death tool, the deburr tool. Take this on the back side actually.
We'll just repeat the process on the other side. All that for one Dzus plate. Alright, so one. Now next thing we can do is we've got our rivets and we can actually rivet our springs into place.
turn, quarter turn plate. And now this will be able to hold doesn't work so good when they don't attach, but basically you can see there's your spring, your Dzus panel, Dzus fastener, quarter turn fastener, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. That's everything we need. Down, rinse and repeat.